Chapter 2031. Lu Ming stretched out a finger and tapped lightly on the purple-robed young man's sword light. Bang! The purple-robed young man's sword light instantly shattered. At the same time, dense runes appeared on Lu Ming's finger and covered the purple-robed young man. The purple-robed young man was shocked and quickly retreated, but it was too late. Before he could get far, his body was covered by the runes. He felt that his cultivation was sealed, and he fell to the ground with a plop. The three people at the scene were all dumbfounded. The purple-robed young man was defeated in one move. The purple-robed young man was not an ordinary person. He was very famous in the Yura Kingdom and was even more famous than Jipang. Other than the king body, there were 10 strongest geniuses in the Yura Kingdom. Jipang was ranked 9th, and the purple-robed young man was ranked 5th. Such geniuses were no match for Lu Ming and were defeated by Lu Ming in one move. Array Dao Law, you have a king body. At this moment, Princess Luoxian stood up from her seat and looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. King body. The hearts of the others in the hall were greatly shaken. In the entire Yura Kingdom, there were only a few people with a king body. This young man had a king body. No wonder he could defeat the purple-robed young man in one move. Especially the burly guard who was guarding the door. He was secretly afraid. He thought that Lu Ming was boasting shamelessly and was just looking for an excuse to get close to the princess. Now, it seemed that they were wrong. Lu Ming was the real deal. Fortunately, he came in to pass the message. Otherwise, as Lu Ming said, if he went to seek refuge with the eldest princess, they would really be finished. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand, and the runes covering the purple-robed young man disappeared. The purple-robed young man stood up and looked at Lu Ming seriously. Are you really going to seek refuge with me and be my guest? Princess Luoxian looked at Lu Ming curiously. Of course. Why else would I be here? Lu Ming smiled. Why do you want to join me? The little princess continued to ask. The little princess is a peerless beauty, a famous beauty. If I don't rely on you, who will I rely on? Lu Ming replied with a smile. The little princess giggled. She laughed so hard that her eyes narrowed into slits. I like your reason. However, Yuning is also incomparably beautiful. Why don't you seek refuge with her? The little princess asked again. She looked innocent, but she was actually very meticulous. To be honest, I beat up Jipang yesterday and was just chased out by the first princess. Lu Ming didn't hide anything and recounted what had happened. Lu Ming was very clear that this matter could not be concealed even if he wanted to. As long as the little princess sent someone to investigate, it would not be difficult to find out. Oh, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. This time, Yuning has made a mistake. I wonder what her expression will be when she finds out that you have a king body during the competition. Interesting, interesting. The little princess laughed again and said, there must be a condition for you to join me, right? I need the little princess to introduce me to the royal family of the ancient Devil Kingdom. Also, I'll only be the little princess's guest for a few months. Lu Ming said, all right, that's easy. Soon, we'll be heading to the ancient Devil Kingdom. I know a few princes and princesses of the ancient Devil Kingdom. I can introduce you to them. The little princess agreed without hesitation. She then looked at the others and said, regarding Lu Ming's matter, none of you should tell anyone. Yes. The 2 young men and the bulky guard nodded their heads in response. You may leave. I'll arrange a place for Lu Ming personally, the little princess said. The 2 young men and the burly gatekeeper bowed and left. Only Lu Ming and the little princess were left in the main hall. You didn't use your full strength just now, did you? You said that you could help me win. I'd like to see how strong you are. As soon as the little princess finished her words, her body floated towards Lu Ming like a black cloud. At the same time, the little princess waved her hand and a black light shrouded Lu Ming. Peak Absolute Saint. As soon as the little princess attacked, Lu Ming could see her cultivation level. Like him, she was at the peak Absolute Saint. Roar. Lu Ming activated the law of formations and pointed out a finger. A real dragon roared and pounced out. It was formed by the runes of the formation Dao. Boom. The true dragon and the little princess's black light collided with a loud boom. Then, countless runes spread out towards the little princess. Judgment, the little princess lightly shouted. Black light burst forth, obliterating the endless runes. Law of Judgment. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The Law of Judgment was an extremely terrifying law of kings. It was said to be able to judge everything, and its offensive power was shocking. Again, the little princess went up and fought with Lu Ming again. Lu Ming activated the Law of Formations and fought with the little princess. Lu Ming didn't use his full strength. Lu Ming's spirit body was definitely much stronger than that of the little princess. His saint power was also stronger than that of the little princess. In fact, Lu Ming had only used the integration of the illusory spirit scroll and the sealing scroll for the 3 scrolls of array formation. He had not added the destruction scroll. Even so, the little princess was still at a disadvantage after dozens of attacks. Awesome, awesome. After exchanging dozens of blows, the little princess retreated and said in a sweet voice, "Lu Ming, you're not weak." However, Ji Tian from the Ji family also has a king body and his cultivation has reached perfected absolute saint. I'm afraid he's stronger than you. How do you know, little princess? I used my full strength just now. Lu Ming smiled. You didn't use your full strength? So you're looking down on me. The little princess pouted. Lu Ming couldn't help but touch his nose. The little princess's temper was really changeable. Lu Ming couldn't help but think of someone. Xian Yanqing. The little princess's temper was similar to Xian Yanqing's. Little Qing, where are you now? Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Back then, Patriarch Ice Dragon had taken Xian Yanqing away. It had been a few years since then, and there had been no news of them. This made Lu Ming very worried. Lu Ming, just you wait. I'm going to reach the peak absolute saint realm soon. I'll spar with you then. As she spoke, the little princess showed her 2 canine teeth again and glared at Lu Ming. Let's go. I'll arrange a place for you to stay. The little princess's expression changed very quickly. A moment ago, she was still threatening Lu Ming, but in the next moment, she walked out of the hall. Lu Ming followed closely behind. After the little princess arranged a courtyard for Lu Ming, she left. There were still 20 days before the competition between the Yu family and the Luo family. She had to reach the peak absolute saint realm in these 20 days. In the following days, Lu Ming was very relaxed and cultivated in peace. As for the Ji family, they sent people to search for Lu Ming in the capital, but they couldn't find any clues. This made Ji Ping furious. Just like that, 20 days passed in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2032. At the center of the Yura Kingdom's capital, there was a huge battle stage. There were many seats around the battle stage, and there was also a large empty space. On this day, there was a sea of people around the battle stage. The Yura Kingdom was founded by 2 great clans. Every 10,000 years, the Yura Kingdom would be decided by which clan would control the Yura Kingdom. Therefore, this was the biggest event in the Yura Kingdom in the past 10,000 years. Countless people were gathered here. In all directions, there was a dense crowd of people. Lu Ming and the Luo clan were sitting on the east side of the battle stage. The spectators were all experts from the Luo clan. Lu Ming looked around and saw that there were many void emperors and true emperors. The father of the little princess, Luo Xian, was sitting at the front. On the west side of the battle stage, there were people from the Yu clan. At this moment, both sides were sizing each other up. That Lu Ming actually sided with Luo Xian. Damn it! Ji Peng shouted angrily when he saw Lu Ming. Ji Tian and Yu Ning also looked at Lu Ming. There was a cold glint in their eyes. The Ji clan is really useless. I already kicked Lu Ming out, but they still couldn't find him. Instead, they let him side with Luo Xian. Yu Ning's eyes flashed coldly as she roared in her heart. Lu Ming's battle strength was very strong. He could easily defeat Ji Peng. This would affect the outcome of this competition. When she kicked Lu Ming out, she already thought that Lu Ming would side with Luo Xian in a fit of anger. However, she also knew that as long as she kicked Lu Ming out, the Ji clan wouldn't let Lu Ming go. Lu Ming would most likely be killed by the Ji clan. He wouldn't have a chance to side with Luo Xian. She didn't expect the Ji clan to be so useless. Lu Ming actually managed to escape and side with Luo Xian. During the competition, if there's a chance, We must kill Lu Ming. Yuning transmitted her voice to Ji Tian and Ji Peng. Don't worry. If that brat meets me, I'll make him die miserably. Ji Tian spoke, his killing intent cold. If he touches me, I'll make him wish he was dead. A yellow-robed youth said coldly. The yellow-robed youth's name was Huang Song. In the Yura kingdom, Huang Song was the strongest person aside from the king body. He was ranked first among the 10 strongest geniuses. He was much stronger than Ji Peng. Yuning, Ji Tian, and the rest were sizing up Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming, Luo Xian, and the rest were also sizing each other up. According to the old rules, each side will send out 50 Sky Prides to fight one-on-one. In the end, the side that wins will be the winner. Luo Xian transmitted his voice to everyone. Lu Ming nodded. This rule was simple. This time, in the younger generation, both sides have 2 king bodies. Their cultivation levels are about the same, so the battle between the king bodies is very likely to result in both sides suffering losses. Therefore, the battle between the non-king bodies is very important. Luo Xian continued. When he mentioned the king body, he did not include Lu Ming. The news that Lu Ming had a king body had not spread out yet. However, other than the king body, there is one person you must be careful of. That is Huang Song. Although he doesn't have a king body, his combat strength is very strong. He had a fortuitous encounter that made his spiritual body stronger than the average spiritual body. Moreover, his divine ability is very profound. You must be careful when you encounter him, Luo Xian warned. Many people nodded. They were naturally aware of Huang Song's methods. At this time, a figure flew up to the stage. This person was very old. He was one of the Yura Kingdom's doyens, and also the judge of this competition. The participants of this competition will go up to the stage first. The doyen spoke, his voice like a bell. Let's go up. Luo Xian stood up first, and the rest followed suit. Yuning, Ji Tian, and the rest also went up to the stage. Each side had 50 people. As long as they were under the age of 50, they could participate. As soon as they stepped onto the stage, Ji Peng, Ji Tian, and Huang Song glared coldly at Lu Ming. Brat, you better pray that you don't meet me. Otherwise, you'll die miserably. The first to speak was Huang Song. His eyes revealed a cruel smile. On Luo Xian's side, some people's faces changed. Huang Song's methods were extremely cruel. Many of his enemies had died miserably. Lu Ming, you shouldn't have sided with Luo Xian. Yuning said coldly. Hee, I shouldn't have sided with you. Don't tell me I have to do as you say and be killed by the Ji family after being expelled by you? What a joke. Lu Ming said indifferently. Big sister Yuning, you don't like Lu Ming, but I treat him like a treasure. I hope you won't be surprised later, Luo Xian laughed. Yuning's face was cold, but she didn't say anything. Next, the doyens assigned numbers. On each side, there were numbers 1 to 50. Then, the doyens placed the 50 numbers into a box and randomly drew them. Whichever 2 numbers were drawn would be the 2 people who would fight. Lu Ming's number was 31. After the numbers were assigned, everyone returned to their respective stands. As for the doyens, they each drew a number from the 2 boxes. Luo family's number 6, Yu family's number 39. The doyens announced their names. In the next instant, 2 figures rushed onto the stage and began to fight. There was no suspense in this battle. The Yu family obtained victory. This was because the Yu family member's cultivation was clearly higher. With just a few moves, he heavily injured the Luo family member and sent him flying off the stage. The Yu family obtained victory in the first battle. The Yu family members revealed smiles on their faces. The doyens continued to draw numbers. In the second battle, the Luo family members' cultivation was stronger and obtained victory. The third battle, Luo family's number 31, Yu family's number 5. The doyens announced their numbers. It's my turn so soon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He stood up and rushed onto the stage. The Yu family member was a tall and sturdy youth. However, when he saw Lu Ming, his face turned gloomy. Just a moment ago, Yuning had transmitted a message to him. She had told him that Lu Ming had defeated Ji Peng. She had told him to exchange a few moves with Lu Ming and exhaust some of Lu Ming's saint energy before admitting defeat. Since Lu Ming had defeated Ji Peng, the tall and sturdy youth knew that he wasn't a match for Lu Ming. "Brat, eat my axe," the tall and sturdy youth roared. He raised his battle axe and charged towards Lu Ming. His goal was to exhaust some of Lu Ming's sane energy. Zzz, a sizzling sound came from Lu Ming's hand. Black demonic lightning flashed. Following that, Lu Ming blasted out a palm. The demonic lightning formed a huge palm and blasted towards the tall and sturdy youth. Boom! The tall and sturdy youth's body was directly sent flying. He flew out of the stage and vomited a large mouthful of blood. "This brat has some strength. It's more fun to kill him like this." Huang Song licked his lips. The ferocious expression on his face became even more intense. As for Luo Xian and the purple-robed youth, who had seen Lu Ming in action before, they were dumbfounded. What's going on? The demonic lightning law. Didn't Lu Ming use the law of array Dao back then? How did it become the demonic lightning law? Could it be that he has mastered two types of law? Luo Xian and the others revealed looks of disbelief. Chapter 2033. After defeating his opponent, Lu Ming returned to the stands. Luo Xian glanced at Lu Ming from time to time. He felt that Lu Ming wasn't as simple as he seemed. The competition continued. Luo Xian and the purple-robed youth fought one after another and won easily. In addition, the Luo family had a king body. He defeated his opponent in one move. On the Yu family's side, Yu Ning and Ji Tian also won easily. Ji Peng also won. As for Huang Song, he was even more merciless, showing no mercy at all. In an instant, he tore apart a genius from the Luo clan. He stood on the battle platform, bathed in blood, resembling a ferocious beast of slaughter. On the Luo family's side, other than Lu Ming and a few others, everyone's expression changed. Soon, the first round was over. Both sides had 50 people each. However, after the first round, there was a gap in the number of people on both sides. The Yu family had ruled the Yura kingdom for 20,000 years. They had a deep foundation. Naturally, there were more geniuses who joined them. Therefore, after the first round, the Yu family had gained the upper hand. After the first round, the Yu family had 28 people left. As for the Luo family, they had only 18. Why didn't the total number of people on both sides add up to 50? It was because in the process of the battle, both sides had suffered injuries. Therefore, the total number of people on both sides was naturally less than 50. The second round was the same as the first round. The remaining people on both sides were placed in the box and drawn. The two people who were drawn would fight each other. This way, the side with more people would definitely have an advantage. This was because the side with more people didn't need to fight. They could conserve their strength and saint power. In the second round, Lu Ming also fought very early. However, his opponent wasn't strong and was easily defeated. After that, Luo Xian and another genius with a king body also won. Yu family's number 3 against the Luo family's number 5. At this time, Elder Yuan's voice sounded again. "It's the two of them." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Yu family's number 3 was Huang Song. The Luo family's number 5 was the purple-robed youth who had tried to test Lu Ming. His name was Wu Shi. Shua. Huang Song's figure appeared on the stage. He looked at Wu Shi with a sinister expression and shouted, "Haha, Wu Shi, I didn't expect it to be you. Hurry up and accept your death." Wu Shi stood up with a solemn face. Among the top 10 young cultivators outside of the king body, Huang Song was ranked first, and Wu Shi was ranked 5th. In their previous battles, he was definitely not Huang Song's opponent. If you can't win, just admit defeat. Your life is more important. Luo Xian sent a message to Wu Shi. Wu Shi nodded and rushed into the Colosseum. The two of them immediately clashed. Huang Song's battle prowess was indeed stronger than Wu Shi's. Huang Song's spirit body seemed to be stronger than the average superior heaven spirit body. His attacks were like a violent storm, and he was like a ferocious savage beast, crazily attacking Wu Shi. For a moment, Wu Shi could only defend passively. But after a few moves, Huang Song clawed at him and tore off a piece of flesh from his body. Die, haha. Upon encountering fresh blood, Huang Song seemed to become even more excited. Traces of blood-red light appeared in his eyes, and his attacks became even more violent. Wu Shi roared. After using his strongest move, he rushed down the fighting ring. He knew that he was no match for Huang Song. If he continued to fight, his life would be in danger. He could only rush down the fighting ring and admit defeat. However, Huang Song obviously did not want to let him off so easily. You want to leave? Die. Huang Song roared. Shua, shua. Claw shadows covered the sky and enveloped Wu Shi. Poochie. Blood splattered everywhere and flesh flew everywhere. One of Wu Shi's arms was torn off by Huang Song. Wu Shi endured the pain and rushed down the fighting ring. What a piece of trash. You don't even have the courage to fight to the death. I think you should admit defeat as soon as possible. Huang Song sneered and looked mockingly at the Luo family's geniuses. Many of them had ugly expressions, but at the same time, they revealed a look of fear. Even Wu Shi had been defeated so miserably. On their side, other than the two king bodies, there was no one who could fight with Huang Song. If they encountered Huang Song, it would be difficult for them to even survive. The morale of the remaining geniuses was somewhat low. Huang Song's gaze swept coldly at Lu Ming. He sneered and returned to the stands. The competition continued. Not long after, the second round of the competition also ended. The difference in numbers between the two sides was even greater. The Yu family still had 19 people, while the Luo family only had 9. In the second round, the Yu family had 10 people who did not need to fight. It looks like the Yu family still has the absolute advantage in this competition. The Yu family has ruled the Yura kingdom for 20,000 years. They are getting stronger and stronger. Naturally, more geniuses will join them. That's right. Although both sides have 2 king bodies, the Luo family is too far behind. Many people were discussing this. Some of the Yu family's experts had smiles on their faces. As for the Luo family's experts, their faces were gloomy. With this defeat, their Luo family would have to wait another 10,000 years. Soon, the third round began. The remaining 9 geniuses of the Luo family were all quite strong. Thus, their chances of winning in the third round increased. It was unknown whether Lu Ming's luck was good or bad, but the opponent he faced in this round wasn't strong. He was easily defeated by Lu Ming. In this round, 6 of the Luo family's 9 geniuses won, and 3 were eliminated. As for the Yu family, 6 of them were eliminated. Only 13 remained. 13 people against 6. Following this, the fourth round began. The Yu family's number 1 versus the Luo family's number 1. The Yura kingdom's doyen pulled out 2 numbers. He was stunned for a moment before he announced the numbers. As soon as the announcement was made, the crowd went into an uproar. Many people became excited. This was because the numbers on both sides were Yu Ning and Luo Xian. They were the eldest and youngest princesses of the Yura kingdom. They were the 2 most outstanding women of the Yura kingdom's younger generation. Not only were their talents outstanding, but their cultivation talent was even more shocking. They both had king bodies. Now, these 2 beautiful princesses were going to face each other. Who would emerge victorious? Many people were looking forward to it. The 2 of them stood up and jumped onto the stage. Their gazes met, and it was as if divine swords were clashing. Sister Luo Xian, I will make you accept your defeat wholeheartedly. Yu Ning smiled. Her face was still cold and arrogant. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I will defeat you. I will defeat all of you. Luo Xian opened her mouth, revealing 2 canine teeth. Following this, the 2 of them moved and started fighting. As soon as the 2 of them attacked, they used their divine abilities. The laws of king bodies clashed in the air, causing rumbling sounds to ring out continuously. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had exchanged dozens of blows. There was no clear winner. Sister Luo Xian, so that's all you've got? It seems like you're going to lose. Yu Ning smiled. Then, the aura on her body skyrocketed. Princess Yu Ning has reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Previously, she was the same as Princess Luo Xian. She had always been at the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. I didn't expect her to break through now. I wonder if Princess Luo Xian has broken through. Otherwise, she's going to lose. Many people exclaimed. This was especially so for the Luo family. Their expressions were grave. Chapter 2034. Sister Luo Xian, how are you going to fight me now? Yuning sneered. She stepped forward, and a powerful aura pressed down on Luo Xian. A month ago, she was still a peak Paragon Saint, but recently, her cultivation had reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. She stood at the peak of the Yura Kingdom. Ji Tian, who used to be the #1 genius of the Yura Kingdom, was only at the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Do you think you're going to win? Luo Xian's voice rang out. Boom. Then, a powerful aura burst out of Luo Xian's body. Luo Xian's cultivation was also at the peak of the Paragon Saint realm, but now, he had reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Yuning's expression changed. She exclaimed, "You've also broken through?" Of course. Do you think you're the only one who has broken through? Luo Xian smiled. So what if I've broken through? I'll still defeat you. Yuning said coldly as she charged toward Luo Xian. The two princesses clashed again. Both of them had king bodies, and their cultivation had reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. Their battle was shocking. Ordinary boundary emperors were no match for them. Only two afterimages could be seen on the stage. Those with weaker cultivations couldn't even see them clearly. It seems like neither of them has the upper hand. Lu Ming was paying attention to the battle on the stage. He noticed that Yuning and Luo Xian's cultivation and battle power were on par. They seemed to know each other very well, and they were in a stalemate. Boom, boom. Soon, the two of them had exchanged hundreds of blows. At this point, their bodies were emitting white smoke. They circulated their saint power to the extreme, and they exchanged a few more blows, but they were still evenly matched. Their breathing became heavier, and their speed became slower. This was a sign of extreme exhaustion. However, both of them were very stubborn. Neither of them wanted to lose to the other, so they gritted their teeth and continued to fight. Towards the end, their attacks became slower and slower. It was as if they were moving in slow motion. Brother Luo, it'll be disadvantageous for them if they continue fighting. Why don't we end this battle in a draw? The head of the Yu family, who was also the current ruler of the Yura Kingdom, looked at the head of the Luo family. All right, let's end this battle in a draw. The head of the Luo family nodded. If they continued to fight, both sides would suffer. If they overdraft themselves too much, it wouldn't be good for either of them. The Luo family head and the Yu family head nodded. The figures of the Yura Kingdom's elders moved and appeared in front of Yuning and Luo Xian, blocking them. This round is considered a draw. All of you can go back and rest, Senior Yuan said. Yuning and Luo Xian glared at each other and snorted coldly. Then, they returned to the stands and swallowed the medicinal pills. While refining the medicinal pills, they continued to watch the competition. In the next battle, it was the turn of the Luo family's other king body. He easily defeated his opponent. Yu family's #3 against Luo family's #31. After the Luo family's king physique was sent out, the elder reported his number. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was his turn. Also, wasn't Yu family's #3 Huang Song? Lu Ming stood up with a cold smile on his face. The eyes of Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others glittered. Others might not know, but they knew that Lu Ming was a king physique. Back then, he had easily defeated Wu Shi. His combat strength was definitely above Huang Song's. I will avenge you. Lu Ming patted Wu Shi's shoulder and stepped onto the stage. Ha ha ha, I finally met this kid. Huang Song was overjoyed. His face was ferocious and excited. Since Princess Yuning wanted to kill Lu Ming, he naturally had to deal with Lu Ming for her. Huang Song, don't kill him so easily. It's best if he begs for mercy on the stage before killing him. Ji Peng glared at Lu Ming and said to Huang Song, Haha, that's exactly what I wanted. Huang Song laughed and rushed onto the stage. He stared at Lu Ming and said, Kid, kneel down and beg for mercy. I might give you a quick death. He thought that he would see a look of horror on Lu Ming's face, but he was disappointed. Lu Ming had a spurious smile. He looked at Huang Song and said, Pathetic. Huang Song's face darkened. Kid, what did you say? I said that you don't even know that your life is coming to an end. How pathetic. Lu Ming added, Ha ha ha, kid. You're saying that you can kill me? I'd like to see where you get your confidence from. Huang Song hollered. As soon as he finished his words, His figure dashed toward Lu Ming. His claws were like knives, grabbing toward Lu Ming. Huang Song was also wearing a kind of glove. This glove was like mercury. It wrapped around his hand and could change its shape at will. His fingertips were extremely sharp. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Black thunderbolts flashed on Lu Ming's palm as he blasted his palm toward Huang Song. He's only a peak absolute saint. How dare he fight Huang Song head-on? He's courting death. Huang Song's spiritual body is very powerful. Even a peak absolute saint wouldn't dare to fight Huang Song head-on. This kid is just courting death. It looks like Huang Song wants to kill him. He's done for. Lu Ming's attack caused a commotion. However, in the next moment, all the sounds disappeared. This was because Lu Ming and Huang Song had collided. Boom! A figure wailed and flew far away. He fell to the ground. It wasn't Lu Ming who everyone thought it was, but Huang Song. Huang Song was sent flying 100 meters and fell to the ground. His body was twitching and lightning was all over him. On the other hand, Lu Ming didn't move at all. How? How is this possible? Lu Ming was only a peak absolute saint. How could he send Huang Song flying with one move? Lu Ming didn't have a king body. How is this possible? In the stands, Ji Peng roared in disbelief. Lu Ming was strong enough to defeat him, but they didn't think that Lu Ming could defeat Huang Song. Huang Song was almost unbeatable at the same level, except for those with a king body. Plus, Huang Song's cultivation was higher. Yu Ning's face also darkened. Even Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others were shocked. They'd guessed that Lu Ming could defeat Huang Song, but only if Lu Ming used the Law of Kings. But now, Lu Ming had defeated Huang Song without using the Law of Kings at all. This was beyond their expectations. Of course, they did not know that Lu Ming's spirit body was far superior to ordinary high-grade spirit bodies. Besides, he had cultivated 2 sacred hearts. His sacred power was far superior to that of a perfected absolute saint. Even if he did not use the Law of the King, he could easily defeat Huang Song. Lu Ming stepped forward and approached Huang Song. He looked down at him and said, "Didn't you want to kill me? Come." Huang Song looked at Lu Ming. He didn't look ferocious anymore. Instead, he looked terrified. With a roar, he charged down the battle platform. He wanted to admit defeat, but Lu Ming wouldn't let him do that. Crack! Chapter 2035. Huang Song roared as he used all his strength to block Lu Ming's lightning spear. However, the spear vibrated as if it was indestructible. Chila! The lightning spear pierced through Huang Song's attack, piercing through his shoulder and dragging Huang Song along as he slid a distance away. Huang Song roared in fear and rushed in another direction, wanting to rush down the stage. He no longer had the heart to continue fighting. At this moment, there was only fear in his heart. Lu Ming's battle strength was too strong, exceeding his expectations. His battle intent had already collapsed. As a result, he was even less of a match for Lu Ming. Swish, swish. Lu Ming's figure flashed as the black spear stabbed out continuously. Finally, it pierced through Huang Song's left leg and nailed him to the ground. Trash. You don't even have the courage to fight. Where's your arrogance from before? Lu Ming stepped forward and stepped on Huang Song's face, looking down on him. Previously, Huang Song was incomparably arrogant. When he defeated Wu Shi, he said that Wu Shi was trash who didn't even have the courage to fight. But now, he was facing Lu Ming. Wasn't he the same? Now, Lu Ming had returned those words to him. It was incomparably ironic. "Eldest princess, save me!" Huang Song roared, begging Princess Yu Ning for help. "Lu Ming, stop when you're ahead. Don't go too far." At this moment, Princess Yu Ning spoke. "Nonsense." Lu Ming looked at Princess Yu Ning and reprimanded her. "Are you blind or deaf? Why didn't you tell Huang Song not to go overboard when he killed our people? Also, it was Huang Song who said that he wanted to kill me. Why didn't you stop him?" Lu Ming's sarcastic voice resounded throughout the entire place. This made Princess Yu Ning's expression extremely ugly. "Impudent! Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to the princess like this? I'll cripple you!" An expert from the Yu family shouted, erupting with a powerful aura. "What are you doing?" The Luo family head said coldly, sweeping his gaze over the Yu family expert. The latter's expression changed greatly. "Brother Yu, don't break the rules." The Luo family head said coldly. "Sit down." The Yu family head glanced at the Yu family expert. The Yu family expert could only withdraw his aura and obediently withdraw. The conflict between the two clans happened once every 10,000 years. It had been countless years, so there were naturally rules. No one else was allowed to interfere. Otherwise, the Senate of the Yura Kingdom would declare the party that broke the rules to be the loser. "This kid is interesting," the head of the Luo family said with a smile. "That was a good scolding." Luo Xian laughed loudly, as if he had vented his anger. This made Princess Yuning's expression turn even uglier. "Now, I'll send you on your way." Lu Ming looked at Huang Song. No, Huang Song struggled with all his might, his eyes filled with terror. However, Lu Ming's long spear descended and directly pierced through his glabella, killing Huang Song. Many people at the scene heaved a sigh of relief. Huang Song was dead. He was killed by an unknown young man. This was the strongest genius in the Yura Kingdom outside of the King Physique. However, he was killed in a few moves by Lu Ming. This made everyone fearful of Lu Ming's combat strength. How is this kid so strong? How is he so strong? Ji Peng was incomparably terrified. "Don't worry. If this kid meets me, I'll avenge Huang Song." Ji Tian said coldly, staring coldly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming seemed to have sensed something. He looked back at Ji Tian, smiled faintly, and returned to the spectator stand. "There's hope." At this moment, some of the Luo family's experts' eyes lit up as they saw hope. Although they were few in number, they saw hope now. This was because each side had a king physique. If, before Lu Ming met Ji Tian, the two people with the king physique would encounter each other first. If, like Yuning and Luo Xian, both of them suffered injuries, then they would have a chance of winning. If the king physique on both sides were injured, then who on the Yu family side could be Lu Ming's opponent? Lu Ming alone could wipe out the other side. Obviously, the Yu family's people also thought of this point, and their faces were gloomy. Because of Lu Ming, the situation where they were sure to win had turned into an unpredictable trend. "Don't worry, they won't have a chance," Ji Tian said confidently. "Could it be that you have already?" Yuning seemed to have thought of something, and her face lit up. "That's right." Ji Tian nodded. Yuning was ecstatic, and she let out a long breath. This way, they would definitely win. "If you meet that Lu Ming, kill him for me." Yuning transmitted her voice to Ji Tian. If it was like what Ji Tian said, then Lu Ming would meet Ji Tian sooner or later. Everyone had different thoughts in their hearts, but the competition still continued. When this round ended, on the Luo family's side, there were only 3 people left. On the Yu family's side, there were only 9 people left. A new round had begun. This round didn't attract too much attention. Lu Ming easily defeated his opponent, and so did the Luo family's king physique. But on the Luo family's side, another person was defeated by the opponent. In this way, the Luo family only had 2 people left. On the Yu family's side, there were only 7 people left. Yu family's number 2, Luo family's number 2. When Elder Yuan announced the numbers, everyone became excited. Finally, it was time for the main event. The Yu family's number 2 was Ji Tian, and the Luo family's number 2 was Long Yin. The 2 king physiques were going to fight again. In the past, Ji Tian was known as the number 1 person among the younger generation in the Yura Kingdom. His cultivation had long reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. But Long Yin might not be weaker than him, and his cultivation had long reached the peak of the Paragon Saint realm. The last time they fought was a few years ago. At that time, the two of them exchanged hundreds of moves, and in the end, Long Yin lost to Ji Tian by a single move. But a few years had passed, and anything could happen. The current Ji Tian might not be able to defeat Long Yin. They're finally going to fight. The eyes of the Luo family's experts lit up, and their faces were filled with joy. Finally, before Lu Ming met Ji Tian, the 2 king physiques would fight. This was what they wanted to see, and it was also their only hope of winning. As long as Ji Tian and Long Yin were injured, Lu Ming would be able to defeat the remaining people of the Yu family. Then, the Luo family would be able to win this time. Long Yin, we don't want to win this battle, but we can't let Ji Tian win. The Luo family's head transmitted to Long Yin. Long Yin nodded and stepped onto the battle stage. Ji Tian also stepped onto the battle stage. Long Yin, you weren't my match a few years ago. Today, you won't be my match either. Ji Tian said confidently. He had a strong belief that he was invincible. Not necessarily. Long Yin said indifferently. Then, he took a step forward, and terrifying flames spread out from his body. This flame was an extremely terrifying flame law called the Destruction Heavenly Flame Law. It was also a kind of king law. 6 hells. Ji Tian whispered. 6 worlds seemed to appear around his body. One was a sea of blood, one was boundless demonic chi, and one was filled with killing intent. So it's the 6 hells law. Chapter 2036. The 6 hells law was similar to the reincarnation law. However, one was the strongest law, while the other was the king law. In terms of power, the difference was too great. The 6 hells law was a simplified version of the reincarnation law. 6 worlds enveloped Ji Tian, making him look like a demon god. Watch me burn the 6 hells law. Long Yin roared, and flames soared into the sky. He was like a flaming war god. A flaming spear appeared in his hand, and he charged towards Ji Tian. The spear stabbed out, and a terrifying spear light pierced towards Ji Tian, wanting to pierce through his 6 hells law. 6 hell divine fist. Ji Tian stepped forward and punched out with both fists. It was as if he was driving the 6 worlds. The 6 worlds turned into fist light and blasted towards Long Yin. Boom! The spear and fist light collided, and a violent explosion sounded. Long Yin's heavenly fire law could burn everything. It had the power of destruction, and it was incomparably terrifying. It was no weaker than the 6 hells law. In the explosion, both of them retreated at the same time. But then, both of them rushed towards each other and fought again. Their combat strength was on par. A few years ago, the two of them fought for hundreds of moves before the victor was decided. This time, it was the same. In the blink of an eye, the two of them fought for dozens of moves, but it was still a draw. There's hope. The eyes of the Luo family's powerhouses lit up. If this continued, it was very likely that they would end up like Princess Yuning and Princess Luoxian. In the past, they were afraid of encountering such a situation because they weren't a match for the Yu family. But now, they were looking forward to such a situation because they had Lu Ming. The Yu family's powerhouses were the opposite. This was extremely disadvantageous for the Yu family. The Yu family's powerhouses all had gloomy expressions. Ji Tian and Long Yin fought fiercely, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Boom! With a violent explosion, both of them retreated. Ji Tian, I said that you won't be able to defeat me in a few years. Long Yin spoke. His voice was as loud as a bell. Terrifying flames rushed into the clouds. His eyes were bright as if he had vented the anger in his heart. Hee, Long Yin, you are really naive. At this time, Ji Tian smiled faintly, and his voice was filled with sarcasm. What do you mean? Long Yin's eyes narrowed. He didn't know why, but when he saw Ji Tian smile, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that Ji Tian still hadn't used his full strength? Then let me show you my true strength. Ji Tian sneered and took a step forward. Wong. A halo emanated from Ji Tian's body, encircling him like a god descending to the mortal world. Light of law. You've cultivated the light of law. Long Yan's pupils rapidly shrank as he roared in disbelief. Boom. Boom. At this moment, the experts from the Luo family and the Yu family couldn't suppress the shock in their hearts. They stood up from their seats, and powerful auras began to emanate from their bodies. However, the feelings of the two families were completely different. Ha ha ha, the light of the law, it's the light of the King Dao law. There's no suspense in this battle. The experts of the Yu family laughed heartily. They were all overjoyed. As for the Luo family, they were all in disbelief. In the end, they slumped back into their seats. It was as if all the strength in their bodies had disappeared without a trace. The light of law. Since Ji Tian had cultivated the light of law, there was no suspense in this battle. Long Yin was definitely not Ji Tian's opponent. They both had the king body, but the difference between having the light of law and not having the light of law was too great. If Long Yin was defeated, Lu Ming would naturally be defeated. How could this be? Luo Xian said helplessly. Originally, she seemed to have seen the dawn of victory. Because Lu Ming also had the king body, they had a high chance of winning this battle. But she never would have thought that Ji Tian actually cultivated out the light of law. It was extremely difficult to cultivate the light of law with the king body, but once it was cultivated, it would far surpass other king bodies. Ji Tian really cultivated the light of law. At this moment, Yu Ning's face was full of smiles. She was secretly glad that she didn't offend the Ji family because of Lu Ming. Not only did the Ji family have the commander-in-chief, but Ji Tian's talent was even more shocking. Although Lu Ming's strength wasn't bad, compared to Ji Tian, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. At this moment, she was incomparably relaxed. The trace of regret she had for driving out Lu Ming disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming couldn't affect the overall situation. The Yu family will win for sure. The spectators sighed as well. It seemed that the Yu family would continue to rule the Yura kingdom. Boom. On the battle stage, Ji Tian displayed the light of law. His aura was even stronger as it pressed towards Long Yin. Long Yin, do you still want to fight? Ji Tian asked coldly, high and mighty. Fight. Long Yin gritted his teeth and charged towards Ji Tian with his flaming spear. You're overestimating yourself. Then I'll let you see the power of the light of law. I'll let you see the difference between not cultivating the light of law and cultivating the light of law. Ji Tian punched out, and the power of the light of law was added to his fist. Boom. This fist collided with Long Yan's spear. Buzz. Long Yan's long spear vibrated and buzzed. The destruction heavenly fire law on it trembled nonstop. In the next moment, Long Yan's destruction heavenly fire law was penetrated. The terrifying power caused Long Yan to retreat wildly. He retreated more than 10 steps before he could stabilize himself. Puff. Long Yan's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. He wasn't a match for Ji Tian at all. He was injured in a single move. Boom. Boom. Ji Tian punched out consecutively, and another 2 punches blasted out. Although Long Yan did his best to resist, he was no match at all and was completely suppressed. After 2 more punches, Long Yan spat out another mouthful of blood. I've lost. Long Yan shook his head, and his expression was desolate. His figure moved, and he rushed out of the battle stage. He knew that it was useless to continue fighting. He wasn't a match for Ji Tian, and he would only be humiliating himself. We've lost again. The Luo family head and the other experts of the Luo family sighed helplessly. They had lost again. For the next 10,000 years, the Yu family would continue to rule the Yura kingdom. They had lost 3 times in a row, and they were somewhat unwilling. If this continued, their Luo family would fall, and it would be even harder for them to compete with the Yu family. As for the Yu family, they were naturally ecstatic. Brother Luo, do you still want to continue? The Yu family head looked at the Luo family head with a smile. He was naturally happy. With the Yu family's victory, he would continue to rule the Yura kingdom. In his opinion, the Luo family only had Lu Ming left, and there was no need to continue. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, could he fight against Ji Tian? Your Majesty, according to the rules, this competition will continue until one side is completely defeated. Ji Tian cupped his fists at the Yu family head. Chapter 2037. Haha, look at me being muddle-headed. That's true. The competition must continue. Continue. The patriarch of the Yu family laughed. Lu Ming also smiled. Even if the other party wanted to end the competition early, he wouldn't agree. Next, the competition continued. However, no one had the energy to pay attention to it. They all thought that the result was already decided. Continuing the competition was just a formality according to the rules. If Lu Ming is smart, he will deliberately rush down the stage to admit defeat. Otherwise, if he meets Ji Tian later, he won't have a chance. And, if I were Lu Ming, I would definitely do the same. Many people seem to have guessed the result. In a while, Lu Ming would definitely rush down the stage and admit defeat. The Doyen continued to draw numbers. Lu Ming against a skinny youth from the Yu family. The two of them stepped on the stage. Brat, let me deal with you. The skinny youth was smug. He also thought that Lu Ming would take the initiative to rush down the stage and admit defeat. Otherwise, if he met Jian in the next round, wouldn't Lu Ming be finished? Therefore, he boldly rushed toward Lu Ming and pounced toward Lu Ming. Then, he saw a fist rapidly enlarging in front of his eyes. Following that, it heavily bombarded the bridge of his nose. Gotcha! The skinny youth's nose was broken. With a miserable scream, his body flew out a few hundred meters and fell on the stage. Many people were stunned. They originally thought that Lu Ming would take the initiative to rush down the stage and admit defeat. They didn't expect that Lu Ming would directly make a move. Maybe he wants to save face and wants to win a round before admitting defeat. If his luck is bad and he meets Jian in the next round, he will regret it. Some people sneered. Shua. Lu Ming's figure moved and rushed to the skinny youth's side. With a kick, he directly kicked the skinny youth off the stage. Lu Ming won this round. However, the people from the Luo family only shook their heads. Whether he won or not, the final result wouldn't change. Like this, the Luo family only had Lu Ming left. As for the Yu family, they only had 6 people left. The competition continued, but now, they only needed to draw a number from the Yu family. Whoever drew a number would fight with Lu Ming. Yu family, number 47, a senior elder announced. A young woman from the Yu family stepped onto the stage. Many people began to guess again, guessing whether Lu Ming would admit defeat in this round, because the longer it went on, the higher the probability of him encountering Jian. Many people thought that Lu Ming wanted to win the match and then admit defeat to save some face. However, Lu Ming directly attacked and blasted the young woman off the battle stage in 2 moves. Still not admitting defeat? You really want to save face? Haha, let's see how he regrets it when we meet Jian later. Some people sneered. The competition continued, and the next person was still not Jian. Naturally, he was easily defeated by Lu Ming. It was unknown if it was luck, but the next few people weren't Jian. They were all defeated by Lu Ming. On the Yu family's side, there were only 2 people left. They were Jian and Jipeng. Lu Ming still hasn't admitted defeat. Could it be that he really wants to fight with Jian? At this point, some people had already changed their minds. Because Lu Ming didn't admit defeat, if this continued, he would definitely meet Jian. How is this possible? If he fights with Jian, he won't even have the chance to escape. He will definitely be killed. I don't know what he is thinking. He is really crazy. Everyone was discussing. As for Jipeng, his expression turned ugly. If Lu Ming didn't admit defeat, he wouldn't meet him in the next round, right? He kept praying in his heart that Lu Ming would meet Jian in the next round. Unfortunately, things didn't go as he wished. Yu family, number 9, Jipeng, come out. The senior elder took out a number and shouted, "Damn it!" Jipeng roared in his heart. Why is it him? Why can't Lu Ming meet Jian? Many people were speechless. Lu Ming's luck was too good. It was strange that he couldn't meet Jian. Lu Ming stepped onto the stage, looked at Jipeng, smiled faintly, and said, "Come down." Jipeng's face was gloomy as he stepped onto the stage. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, I advise you to admit defeat. Otherwise, if you meet my big brother in the next round, you will die miserably." The current Jipeng's heart was complicated. He naturally hoped that Lu Ming would meet Jian and be killed by Jian. However, if Lu Ming continued to fight, he would be miserable. You are actually thinking for me? I don't understand. Back then, I beat you up so badly. Lu Ming deliberately revealed a surprised expression. Jipeng gritted his teeth and roared in his heart. If it wasn't for this round, would I be thinking for you? But now, he could only go against his heart and say, "Let bygones be bygones. I think you are still a talent. Quickly admit defeat." Admit defeat? Forget it. My plan is to beat you up, and then beat your elder brother up. Lu Ming smiled. He even extended his fist and gestured with it. Lunatic. Ji Peng roared, then suddenly turned around and rushed down the stage. However, Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he caught up with him. He slapped his palm down and lightning flashed. It was like a huge net that shrouded Ji Peng. Ji Peng tried his best to resist, but when the lightning fell, all of his attacks collapsed. Buzz buzz. Ji Peng's body was covered in lightning, which looked like small black snakes swimming around. Slap. Lu Ming then slapped down on Ji Peng's face. Ji Peng screamed and spat out blood mixed with teeth. More lightning covered Ji Peng's body. His hair stood straight up and white smoke came out of his 7 orifices as if he was electrocuted. It was extremely miserable. In the stands, Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and Ji Tian's father, the commander-in-chief, had ugly expressions. In their view, Lu Ming humiliated Ji Peng like this, which was equivalent to slapping their faces. How did he treat Ji Peng? Wait a moment, I will return it 10 times. Ji Tian gritted his teeth. Lu Ming grabbed Ji Peng's neck and walked to the edge of the stage step by step. Then, he threw Ji Peng down the stage. He casually stretched out a finger, pointed at Ji Tian, hooked his finger and said, "Come, King Physique." Swish. Ji Tian couldn't bear it anymore and rushed up the stage. Anyway, he was the only one left from the Yu family. There was no need to draw a number. This Lu Ming really wants to fight with Ji Tian. Where did he get the courage? It's strange. Could it be that Lu Ming still has a trump card? This is a fair battle. He is not allowed to use his emperor weapon. He doesn't have a king body. How can he have a trump card? Many people were discussing. They couldn't guess what Lu Ming was planning. With Ji Tian's combat strength, Lu Ming would definitely die if he went against Ji Tian. Why didn't he admit defeat earlier? Why did he persist until now? Could it be that he wanted to humiliate Ji Peng? But there was no need to put his life on the line. Chapter 2038. Ji Tian's eyes were extremely cold. 6 worlds appeared, and a terrifying aura charged toward Lu Ming continuously like a gale. Now, you won't have the chance to admit defeat. Ji Tian said coldly. Who said I'm going to admit defeat? How ridiculous. I didn't say I was going to admit defeat from the beginning. Can you stop making wild guesses? Lu Ming curled his lips. That's great. I'll make you kneel on the battle stage and beg for mercy. Ji Tian said coldly. He stepped forward, and the 6 worlds moved with him. He didn't seem to be fast, but in fact, he was extremely fast. In an instant, he arrived in front of Lu Ming. Boom. With a punch, one of the blood prison worlds blasted out with Ji Tian's fist. It was like a sea of blood enveloping Lu Ming. The smell of blood filled the air. Asterisk sizzle. Asterisk Lu Ming's fist sizzled, and a black lightning cauldron spread out. He also punched out. Boom. The 2 fists collided, and the sky was like a huge drum, shaking violently. Circles of lightning and a sea of blood burst out in all directions. A figure swayed, stepping on the battle stage and retreating. The person who retreated was actually Ji Tian. The scene suddenly quieted down. Countless people were dumbfounded, and some looked at the battle stage in disbelief. Lu Ming actually pushed Ji Tian back in a head-on confrontation. How was this possible? What was going on? Lu Ming's cultivation was obviously at the peak of the absolute saint realm, which was weaker than Ji Tian. Moreover, he didn't have a king body. How could he push Ji Tian back? This was simply unbelievable. Ji Tian, don't be careless. Use more strength. At this moment, the Yu family head's voice resounded throughout the entire place. He meant that Ji Tian was too careless and didn't use his full strength. That was why he was pushed back by Lu Ming. Many people nodded. That should be the case. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming push Ji Tian back? However, Ji Tian's eyes were incomparably dignified, and his heart was in turmoil. Others thought that he was careless, but only he knew how strong Lu Ming's punch was. His saint energy was endless and was not any weaker than his. Furthermore, the power of Lu Ming's spiritual body was even more terrifying. He had indeed not used his full strength just now, but Lu Ming's strength had indeed shaken him. 6 held demonic fist. Ji Tian let out a long howl. The 6 worlds burst forth with different auras, transforming into a terrifying fist force that soared towards Lu Ming in an overwhelming manner. His aura was indeed much stronger than before. Good timing. Lu Ming didn't retreat at all. He took a step forward and punched out again. Every punch was filled with lightning, wrapping around Lu Ming's fists. His fists were like lightning. Bang! Bang! The two of them fought speed with speed. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Chi energy shot out and rumbled continuously. However, Lu Ming did not show the slightest sign of weakness. Instead, he vaguely had the upper hand. This time, everyone was stunned. Even the people from the Yu and Luo families were shocked. Even the patriarchs of the two families and some true emperors were extremely shocked. He didn't have a king body and his cultivation was one level lower. However, he could actually fight against Ji Tian. This kind of combat strength was unheard of even for them. So strong? Luo Xin, Wu Shi, and the others were dumbfounded at first. However, their eyes soon lit up. They knew that Lu Ming had a king body and could control the King Dao Law. Now that he could fight against Ji Tian without using the King Dao Law, he could really win if he used the King Dao Law. They originally thought that there was no hope, but now they saw a glimmer of hope. Yuning's expression was extremely ugly. She was unhappy because Lu Ming was one of her people at the beginning. However, he was kicked out by her later on. It's useless no matter how strong he is. What I want is the final victory. Ji Tian still hasn't used the light of law. He will definitely win. I chose Ji Tian. I'm right. Yuning warned herself in her heart. Boom. Lu Ming and Ji Tian exchanged another blow. Both of them retreated. The difference was that Lu Ming retreated 5 steps, while Ji Tian retreated 7 steps. Ji Tian's face was especially gloomy. He had a king body, but he actually fought with Lu Ming like this. Today, he had lost a lot of face. Today, he must use Lu Ming's blood to wash away his shame. Lu Ming, your combat strength is indeed beyond my expectations. However, you will still lose, shouted Ji Tian. The light of the heavenly laws spread out and surrounded him, making his aura even stronger. Boom. With the support of the light of law, Ji Tian's momentum increased greatly. He punched out and 6 worlds moved with his fist, pressing down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming swung his fist, colliding with Ji Tian's attack once again. Bang! Lu Ming seemed to be hit by a terrifying force, his figure drifting back. What a pity! The Luo family's experts sighed. If Ji Tian did not cultivate the light of law, their Luo family's chances of winning this battle were very high. However, Ji Tian cultivated the light of law. Unless the Son of Heaven appeared, or someone from the younger generation stepped into the quasi-emperor realm, no one would be Ji Tian's opponent. However, how many Son of Heaven were there in the entire land of infinite demons? There were no quasi-emperors below the age of 50 in their Yura kingdom. The others also shook their heads slightly, thinking that Lu Ming would lose for sure. Kneel down. Ji Tian gained the upper hand in one move. His momentum was like a rainbow as he continued to press down on Lu Ming. He wanted to defeat Lu Ming in one go. The light of law is indeed powerful. Lu Ming curled his lips. His expression was still very calm. At this moment, he raised his hand and pointed out a finger. There was no black lightning in this finger. Instead, it was replaced by endless runes. Roar. The endless runes formed a true dragon. The true dragon roared and pounced toward Ji Tian. Boom. The true dragon's dragon claw tore apart Ji Tian's fist force. The dense runes spread toward Ji Tian. Ji Tian roared in shock. The 6 worlds kept shaking. All kinds of auras erupted, blocking the endless runes. Monarch Dao Law, you have the monarch body. Ji Tian's roar resounded throughout the entire place. Silence. The scene fell into dead silence. Everyone was dumbfounded and in disbelief. Monarch body. Lu Ming actually has the monarch body? Then why did he use the demonic thunder law just now? One person controlled 2 types of laws? How was that possible? He was not a martial emperor. Many people found that their brains were a little short-circuited. However, looking at the dense runes surrounding Lu Ming's body, they clearly realized that Lu Ming really controlled the monarch Dao Law and really had the monarch body. The array Dao Law of the monarch Dao Law, haha. The Luo family head suddenly laughed loudly. Everything that happened today was really beyond his expectations. Lu Ming actually had the monarch body. Just now, he was already so strong without using the monarch Dao Law. Now that he used the monarch Dao Law, how strong would he be? Xian, you already knew that Lu Ming has the monarch body, right? The Lu family head looked at Luo Xian. Luo Xian nodded and said, although I already knew that he has the monarch body, I didn't know that his combat strength is so strong. Chapter 2039. Crack. Yu Ning crushed the white jade golden cup in her hand, her eyes cold. Lu Ming was actually an imperial body. She did not expect this at all. If she knew that Lu Ming was an imperial body and had such strong combat strength, she would have thought twice. Ji Tian will definitely win. Yu Ning roared in her heart, admonishing herself. However, her clenched fists showed how nervous she was. At this moment, Ji Peng had woken up and was also shocked. King body, there's nothing great about it, Lu Ming said lightly. Lu Ming, don't think that you can defeat me just because you have mastered the law of kings. Without the law of light, everything is in vain. Kill. Ji Tian roared and attacked Lu Ming with all his might. The law of six hells, the law of light, and the divine arts were all activated to the extreme by Ji Tian. Let's end this. Lu Ming whispered and pointed out another finger. Runes filled the air and another true dragon was formed, pouncing towards Ji Tian. This true dragon contained 3 scrolls of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao. Lu Ming only used the illusory spirit scroll and the seal scroll in the previous attack. Lu Ming used the destruction scroll, illusory spirit scroll, and seal scroll in this attack. The power of this attack was close to that of the chaotic calamity finger. Boom. When the true dragon collided with Ji Tian, a terrifying force tore Ji Tian's fist radiance apart. Endless runes rushed towards Ji Tian. Ji Tian's body shook violently and he was thrown back. He vomited blood in the air. He tried his best to resist the seal of the runes. However, Lu Ming was already close to him. Then, he pointed out another finger. This time, it was not a true dragon but a giant elephant. The giant elephant's body was like a small mountain. Its legs were like heavenly pillars as it stomped towards Ji Tian. Bam! An elephant leg stepped on Ji Tian's face. Ji Tian was instantly stunned. His body was like a huge rock, heavily smashing into the fighting ring, causing the entire fighting ring to rumble. Ji Tian was lying on the fighting ring, his body twitching and blood gushing out of his mouth. Ji Tian was defeated, beaten into a dead dog. Everyone at the scene widened their eyes, unable to react for a moment. Ji Tian used to be known as the #1 expert in the Yura Kingdom. Now that he had cultivated the light of law, he was even more powerful. However, such strength had been defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation was even lower. His cultivation was even lower, and he had yet to cultivate the light of law, yet he was able to defeat Ji Tian. It was truly inconceivable. Lu Ming stepped out, coming to Ji Tian's side. Although Ji Tian was seriously injured, he still glared at Lu Ming fiercely, wishing he could tear Lu Ming into pieces. What are you looking at? I've already said that there's nothing great about a king body, and there's nothing great about the light of law. Lu Ming sneered, revealing a faint disdain. Then, he kicked Ji Tian's face, sending him flying off the fighting ring. Lu Ming did not kill Ji Tian. After all, this was the Yura Kingdom, and Ji Tian's father and many experts of the Yu family were present. If Lu Ming killed Ji Tian, they would not let him go. Now that Tiandi's physical body did not have enough energy, and his goal was to go to the ancient devil nation, there was no need to cause more trouble. Good. Ha ha ha. The head of the Luo family and many experts of the Luo family stood up, laughing heartily. The Luo family had won. For the next 10,000 years, the Luo family would be in charge of the Yura Kingdom. Previously, when Ji Tian had displayed the light of law, they had thought that the Luo family would lose for sure. They were already in despair, and they had planned to wait for another 10,000 years before making a comeback. However, they had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly erupt. First, he displayed a powerful strength. Then he displayed the King Dao Law, defeating Ji Tian in one fell swoop. How could they not be happy with such an unexpected result? How could they not laugh heartily? Luo Xian, Wu Shi, and the others were also full of smiles. On the other hand, the people of the Yu family were the complete opposite. They had thought that they would win, but in the end, they had lost in the hands of a single person. That kid. Some experts of the Yu family, as well as Ji Tian's father, looked coldly at Lu Ming. It was all because of Lu Ming that they had lost. Where did this kid come from? I have never heard of such a person before. Someone said unwillingly. Everyone fell silent. Bang! Princess Yuning's jade-like hands were as white as jade. At this moment, the veins on her jade-like hands were bulging. She had even crushed the handle of her chair. She was furious. Lu Ming was originally her guest, but she had personally chased him out of the princess residence. Sister Yuning, I really have to thank you. At this moment, Luo Xin looked at Yuning, and his crisp voice rang out. Many people were stunned, not knowing what Luo Xin meant. Luo Xin, shut up! Yuning shouted. Why? Are you afraid that I will lose face if I say it? But I have to say it. The corners of Luo Xian's lips curled up slightly. I heard that Lu Ming used to be Sister Yuning's guest. However, he was personally chased out of the eldest princess mansion. Therefore, he came to seek refuge with me. What? At the scene, everyone who didn't know what was going on was stunned. Lu Ming was originally the princess guest, but he had been chased out of the princess residence by the princess. Only then did Lu Ming seek refuge with the little princess. Yuning, this was tantamount to giving up the victory on a silver platter. If Lu Ming was in the princess residence, there would be no suspense in this competition. The Yu family would definitely win. Yuning's face turned even uglier. As for the Yu family, their faces also turned ugly. There was actually such a thing. Moreover, I heard that it was because Lu Ming offended the Ji family. In order to stabilize the Ji family, you chased Lu Ming out of the princess residence. Perhaps in your eyes, the Ji family, or Ji Tian, is more important than Lu Ming. Am I right, Sister Yuning? Luo Xian continued to speak, revealing her two canine teeth. She was full of cunning. Yuning's expression made her very happy. So that's how it was. Everyone was enlightened. It turned out that Lu Ming had offended the Ji family. In order to stabilize the Ji family, the princess had chased Lu Ming out. After all, at that time, the princess needed Ji Tian's help to win the competition. At that time, in the eyes of the princess, Ji Tian's value was far above Lu Ming's. But what was the truth? It was Yuning who had personally given the victory to the Luo family. As for Ji Tian, who she valued, he had been beaten to a pulp by Lu Ming. How ironic was this? The Yu family's experts, Ji Tian's father, and Ji Tian's uncle all had ugly expressions. Sister Yuning, I wonder what you are thinking now? Do you feel any regret? Luo Xian's voice rang out again. Enough! Yuning shouted. She suddenly stood up and coldly glanced at Lu Ming. Then, she soared into the sky. This caused Luo Xian to laugh. Chapter 2040. The Luo family is the winner of this competition. For the next 10,000 years, the Luo family will rule over the Yura kingdom. Following that, the elder of the Yura kingdom announced. The Yu family head's face was extremely gloomy. He was extremely unwilling. However, this was a tradition that had been passed down for countless years in the Yura kingdom. Even if he did not dare to do so, he still had to hand over the throne. Unless his Yu family's strength was enough to suppress the other factions in the Yura kingdom, he could break this tradition. However, it was clear that the Yu family was unable to do so. In the end, he could only hand over the scepter that represented the king. After that, Lu Ming did not have anything to do with it. He sat on the spectator stand and watched calmly. Next, the Luo family head received the scepter. After that, a series of ceremonies were held, and he began to rule over the Yura kingdom. After the ceremony, there was a banquet. When everything was over, it was already the next day. After a few days, Luo Xian brought a pile of treasures, saying that it was a reward for Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not hesitate to accept it. The following days were peaceful again. Lu Ming stayed in the little princess residence and cultivated quietly. However, Luo Xian would often look for Lu Ming to spar with him. Of course, Luo Xian would return in defeat every time. Time passed, and 1.5 months passed. On this day, Luo Xian found Lu Ming and informed him that they were going to the ancient devil nation. In half a month, the king of the ancient devil nation would hold a banquet to celebrate his passing of the great calamity and being able to live for another 300,000 years. At that time, all the countries that were subordinate to the ancient devil nation would send people to congratulate him. The Yura kingdom was a subordinate of the ancient devil nation. Are we finally going to the ancient devil nation? Lu Ming muttered. This way, he would be one step closer to the ancient devil coffin. Yuning and the others have already gone to the ancient devil nation a few days ago, Luo Xian said. Lu Ming nodded and followed Luo Xian to a teleportation array. The Luo family head personally led a group of a few hundred people. There were also some young geniuses as they stepped into the teleportation array. First, they arrived at the citadel outside the capital of the ancient devil nation. Then, they flew towards the capital. Ancient Devil Nation, one of the 2 super devil nations in the land of 10,000 devils. It was truly a giant. Its capital was exceptionally majestic. It was not inferior to the celestial city in the primordial mountains. In the land of myriad devils, there were a total of 2 super devil nations and 10 high-grade devil nations. Naturally, they were divided into 2 camps. The 2 super devil nations were enemies of each other. Each of the super devil nations ruled over a large number of low-level and mid-level devil nations. There were also 5 high-grade devil kingdoms under their control. The Yura kingdom was one of the 5 high-grade devil kingdoms under the ancient devil kingdom. Naturally, it was highly valued. When they arrived, someone received them and arranged accommodations for them. In the blink of an eye, they had been in the capital of the ancient devil nation for 3 days. Lu Ming, the little prince of the Blue Demon King's residence, has set up a banquet today and invited the prodigies of various countries. Shall we go and take a look? Luo Xian found Lu Ming and asked, "The little prince of the Blue Demon King's residence?" Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. The ancient devil nation is one of the 2 super devil nations in the land of myriad devils. It rules over countless smaller countries. Many of the smaller countries are inextricably linked to some of the influential families in the ancient devil nation. The Blue Demon King's residence is a powerful force in the ancient devil nation. Our Luo family has a good relationship with the Blue Demon King's residence. The little prince of the Azure Demon Nation invited the prodigies of various countries to a banquet to strengthen our relationship, Luo Xian explained. Lu Ming nodded. As long as there were benefits to be gained, there would naturally be benefits to be gained. Moreover, every time the ancient devil nation overcomes a great calamity and holds a banquet, the young prodigies of various countries will compete with each other. Those who perform well will be rewarded handsomely. Therefore, it's normal for the prodigies of various countries to meet and understand each other's strength, Luo Xian added. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The ancient devil nation's lord would allow the prodigies of various countries to compete with each other. This was an opportunity for Lu Ming. If he performed well and caught the attention of the ancient devil nation's lord, he might be one step closer to borrowing the ancient devil coffin. All right, let's go take a look. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming and Luo Xian immediately met up with the other prodigies of the Yura kingdom, such as Wu Shi and the others, and headed towards the Blue Demon King's residence. Of course, Yuning, Jitian, and the others did not follow them. Yuning, Jitian, and the others had arrived at the ancient devil nation's capital earlier than them. They had different connections. Soon, they arrived at a vast mansion. Someone received them and led them to a spacious courtyard. There were many tables and chairs in the courtyard. At this moment, many people had already arrived. They were all from the younger generation. Greetings, Princess Luo Xian. When Luo Xian arrived, many young men bowed to her. The Yura Kingdom was a high-tier devil nation. Moreover, it was one of the top 5 high-tier devil nations under the ancient devil nation. These young men were from middle-tier or low-tier devil nations. Their statuses were far lower than Luo Xian's. Naturally, they had to bow to her when they saw her. Luo Xian smiled and nodded. After greeting everyone, she sat down at a table. Lu Ming, sit here. Princess Luo Xian smiled and pointed to a stool beside her. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony and sat down beside Luo Xian. As for Wu Shi and the others, they sat behind Luo Xian and Lu Ming. Many young men looked at Lu Ming curiously. Who was this person that could sit beside Princess Luo Xian? Ha ha ha, Luo Xian, long time no see. A hearty laugh sounded as a purple-robed young man strode over. He was quite handsome and had an extraordinary aura. There were a few young men behind him. Greetings, little prince. Seeing this young man, the young men quickly stood up and bowed. Lu Ming and Luo Xian also stood up and cupped their fists. This young man was the little prince of the Blue Demon King's residence. The Blue Demon King was an extremely terrifying existence. It was said that he was of the same generation as the ancient Devil Nation's ruler. The two of them had an extraordinary relationship. Therefore, the Blue Demon King had a lot of power in the ancient Devil Nation. As the grandson of the Blue Demon King, the little prince's status was naturally noble. Naturally, he was also a terrifying genius. Everyone, there's no need for formalities. Please take a seat. The little prince waved his hand and looked at Luo Xian. He smiled and said, Princess Luo Xian, I haven't seen you for a few years. Your cultivation has become even more profound. If this continues, I'm afraid I won't be your match in a few years. You're too polite, little prince. Who in the ancient Devil Nation doesn't know about your talent? How can Luo Xian be your match? Luo Xian said humbly. And this is... The little prince looked at Lu Ming. He was naturally curious about the fact that he could sit with Luo Xian. However, when he looked at Lu Ming carefully, his face darkened. Lu Ming frowned slightly. Just a moment ago, he felt a murderous intent from the other party. Chapter 2041. His name is Lu Ming. Luo Xian introduced Lu Ming. Princess Luo Xian, what's your relationship with this person? The young prince asked. He's my guest elder. Young prince, do you know Lu Ming? Luo Xian also felt that something was amiss and asked. So he's just a guest elder. Princess Luo Xian, can you hand him over to me? The young prince's eyes flickered and the murderous intent in his eyes intensified. Young prince, he's my guest elder. I have to be responsible for him. Why do you want me to hand him over to you? Luo Xian frowned and asked. The other young men also seemed to feel that something was wrong. They all held their breaths and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Kill, the young prince said coldly. He didn't hide his murderous intent and said, this person must die. Young prince, is there a misunderstanding here? Luo Xian asked. She secretly sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming and asked, Lu Ming, when did you offend Song Yan? Song Yan was the young prince's name. This is the first time I've seen him. Lu Ming frowned and sent a voice transmission to Princess Luo Xian. He was also confused. He had never seen Song Yan before. He really didn't understand why Song Yan wanted to kill him as soon as he saw him. Misunderstanding? All the direct descendants of the Blue Demon King's residence have a kind of mark on them. When they are killed, this mark will attach to the person who killed them. I felt the mark of the Blue Demon King's residence on him. Is this a misunderstanding? Song Yan said coldly. Everyone's heart skipped a beat and understood. Lu Ming had killed a direct descendant of the Blue Demon King's residence. Song Yan had sensed the mark on him. No wonder Song Yan wanted to kill Lu Ming the moment he saw him. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. He suddenly recalled that not long after he had arrived in the land of myriad devils, he had been cultivating in a certain place when a group of people had tried to steal the devil origin fruit. In the end, they had all been killed by him. One of the young men had shouted that he was from the ancient devil kingdom. Could it be that he was a direct descendant of the Blue Demon King's residence? This was too much of a coincidence. Furthermore, he had encountered such a mark in the Blue Demon King's residence before. The Thousand Slayer Manor was a terrifying assassin organization. As long as you killed someone from the Thousand Slayer Manor, there would be a slaughter mark on your body. Back then, Lu Ming had even asked the palace master of the Phoenix Palace to remove it. The mark on the Blue Demon King mansion was very similar to the mark on the Thousand Slayer mansion. Luo Xian also frowned and said, Little Prince, could there be a mistake somewhere? Definitely not. A few months ago, a cousin of mine was training outside and was killed by someone. It should be this person who killed him. Luo Xian, This person is just a guest elder of yours. You don't have to care about this matter, Song Yin said and waved his hand. Swoosh! A young man rushed out from behind Song Yin. A sword light bloomed and attacked Lu Ming. The sword light was cold. It was going to slice Lu Ming's throat. Adjudication, Luo Xian said softly and struck out with the power of adjudication, destroying the sword light. Princess Luo Xian, are you going to protect this person? Do you think it's worth it to fall out with the Blue Demon King Mansion for a guest elder? Song Yan's face darkened as he said in a threatening tone, A few months ago, I did kill someone. However, that person wanted to snatch a treasure and attacked me without any explanation. How could I not retaliate? At that moment, Lu Ming spoke. I see. Little prince, in the land of all demons, no matter who it is, it's normal to be killed while training outside and fighting for treasures. In the land of all demons, strength is everything. If you're weaker than others, you'll be a laughingstock if you take revenge now. Luo Xian did not back down and said coldly, In the land of all demons, the strong preyed on the weak. No matter who it was, they had to be prepared to be killed while training outside. This was the rule of the land of all demons. Humph, my cousin has several quasi-emperors by his side. How many quasi-emperors can he deal with? He probably used some despicable method to kill my cousin. How about this? Let him fight with me. If he can last 10 moves without being defeated, I'll acknowledge his strength. Song Yin said coldly. In his opinion, Lu Ming was just a guest elder of Luo Xian. How strong could he be? Some of the youths behind Song Yin sneered. Song Yin was one of the top geniuses in the ancient devil nation. Not only did he have a king body, but his cultivation had also reached the great circle of the absolute saint realm. How could Lu Ming last 10 moves against Song Yin? He would probably be killed by Song Yin as soon as they fought. This was Song Yan's goal. As long as he fought with Lu Ming, he would be able to kill Lu Ming legitimately. Luo Xian's eyes flashed. Although Song Yin was strong, Lu Ming could even defeat Ji Tian. He was definitely not weaker than Song Yin. Wouldn't it be easy for him to last 10 moves? All right, I agree. Lu Ming stepped forward and said indifferently, he actually agreed. It seems like this kid doesn't know how strong Song Yin is. Many people had the same thought in their minds. However, some of them were just waiting to watch the show. This kid is really courting death. Some of the youths behind Song Yin smiled playfully. Song Yan's eyes flashed coldly. Princess Luo Xian, since he has agreed, please don't interfere. I won't interfere. I hope the young prince will keep his word. After saying that, Luo Xian returned to the table. Keep my word? This girl, does she think that this kid can take 10 moves from me? Where did she get that confidence from? The young prince sneered. Then, he looked at Lu Ming with even colder killing intent. Anyone who dared to kill someone from the Blue Demon King's residence would die. The young prince wanted to make an example of him in front of the people from the small nations so that they would be more afraid of him. Let's fight in the sky, Lu Ming said. There's no need to fight in the sky to deal with you. One move is enough. Song Yin sneered and pointed with his finger. Whoosh! The finger was like a long spear that pierced through the void and made a terrible whistling sound. The finger was highly condensed. However, Lu Ming didn't even look at it. He pointed with his finger and runes shone on his finger. Bang! When the two fingers collided, an explosion sounded out. The terrifying energy caused many tables and chairs to flip over. Many people retreated in fear, avoiding the energy that was scattered in all directions. On the other hand, Song Yan's figure was forced back 2 steps, falling into a disadvantageous position. The law of array Dao. You have a king body. Song Yin roared. So it's the law of penetration. Lu Ming's heart moved. He was familiar with this law. Luo Pokong of the Daoyuo Heaven sect also mastered this law, but he had been killed by him. I've said that we'll fight in the sky, Lu Ming said lightly. Song Yan's face became gloomy, and his killing intent was extremely cold. Just now, he was confident that he could kill Lu Ming in one move without the need to fight in the sky. However, the reality was a slap to his face. Let's fight in the sky. Chapter 2042. Kill. Song Yin attacked Lu Ming as soon as he was in the air. His fingers were like a spear as he attacked continuously. With the help of the law of penetration, his attacks were powerful and could penetrate everything. Beams of spear gleams pierced toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled and pointed continuously. Countless runes spread and condensed into many lightning birds. They pounced on the spear gleams at an astonishing speed and blocked them. He's so powerful. He also has a king body. No wonder he can sit side by side with Princess Luoxian. Some of the geniuses from small countries exclaimed, "Two moves." In the sky, Lu Ming spoke calmly. Kill. Song Yin attacked for the third time. His cultivation of the great sage realm was fully unleashed. An even more powerful finger radiance shot toward Lu Ming. Song Yan's attack style was similar to Luo Pokong's, but his super skills were different. However, Song Yan's combat strength was much stronger than Luo Pokong's. The terrifying chi whizzed toward Lu Ming, but it was blocked by Lu Ming's finger. 3 moves. Lu Ming continued to speak calmly and nonchalantly. Die. Song Yan's eyes became colder and colder. A halo was emitted from his body and circled around him. The law of light. Many people gasped. Song Yan's combat strength was indeed terrifying. As the top genius of the ancient demonic nation, he was stronger than the other king bodies. It was said that no one in the ancient demonic nation was a match for Song Yan except for the Son of Heaven. Kill. A long spear appeared in Song Yan's hand. Together with the law of light, its power reached a shocking level. 3 scrolls as one. Lu Ming pointed his finger. A true dragon roared and charged toward Song Yin. The true dragon contained the scroll of annihilation, the scroll of illusionary spirits, and the scroll of sealing. Boom! With a loud explosion, the long spear in Song Yan's hand trembled unceasingly. His body trembled violently as he was pushed back by a terrifying force. Song Yin was actually at a disadvantage. Below, other than the people from the Yura Kingdom, everyone else was dumbfounded. Some people even rubbed their eyes, thinking that they were seeing things. Song Yin suppressed the other king physiques and almost stood at the peak. If the Elysian child didn't appear, he was almost invincible. But now, he was being suppressed by Lu Ming. Who was this Lu Ming? How could a random person be so terrifying? They were speechless. Is that all you've got? You want to defeat me in 10 moves? What a joke. It's my turn now, Lu Ming said calmly and took a step forward. Countless runes soared into the sky and transformed into 9 dragons. This time, it was not a true dragon, but 9 dragons. The 9 dragons soared into the sky and charged toward Song Yin. To be honest, Song Yin was very strong. He was even stronger than Ji Tian. Song Yin was almost at the peak of the absolute saint realm. His mastery of the laws had reached 99%. He was only one step away from becoming a quasi-emperor. But compared to Lu Ming, even if Lu Ming didn't use the law of chaos, he was still a little weaker. The 9 dragons pounced. Song Yan's expression changed drastically. He unleashed all his strength and stabbed out with his spear. The 9 dragons roared and clawed out continuously, crushing Song Yan's attack. The terrifying power of destruction and countless runes surged toward Song Yin. Song Yin was pushed back for 10,000 meters before he could stabilize himself. Puff. His body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. You've lost, Lu Ming said calmly. His voice wasn't loud, but it was like a heavy blow to Song Yan's body, causing him to spit out another mouthful of blood. Lu Ming's words were so sarcastic. Just a moment ago, Song Yin was still arrogant and said that he would defeat Lu Ming in 10 moves. In fact, 10 moves was just a casual remark. In his opinion, 1 move was enough to defeat Lu Ming and even kill Lu Ming. But now, he was defeated by Lu Ming in less than 10 moves. Kill. Song Yin roared. Boom. Boom. 2 figures rushed out from the depths of the palace. Their terrifying aura made everyone's expression change. They were 2 martial emperors. Song Yin wanted to send martial emperors to kill Lu Ming. Song Yin, you're going back on your words. Luo Xian rushed to the sky and came in front of Lu Ming, glaring at Song Yin. Get out of the way. Song Yin's expression was somewhat ferocious. Today, Lu Ming made him lose face in front of so many people from small countries. He wished he could cut Lu Ming into pieces. As for this, he had brought it on himself. But of course, he wouldn't think about it. Everything was Lu Ming's fault. How could it be his fault? Song Yin, you sent martial emperors because you couldn't win. If this matter were to spread, I'm afraid it would tarnish your reputation. Even the reputation of the Blue Demon King's residence would be damaged. Luo Xian stood firmly in front of Lu Ming and continued, moreover, even if you must take action today, you'll have to do it over my dead body. Lu Ming is my guest. I can't watch him get killed. Song Yan's expression turned even uglier. Luo Xian's words did make him hesitate. One was his reputation, and the other was Luo Xian's identity. Luo Xian was the princess of the Yura Kingdom. The Yura Kingdom wasn't an ordinary small country. It was one of the top 5 high-grade countries under the ancient Devil Nation. He was also very apprehensive. Song Yin hesitated. Lu Ming, let's go. Luo Xian transmitted her voice to Lu Ming, then turned around and walked out of the Blue Demon King's residence. Wu Shi and the others quickly followed. Song Yan's expression changed a few times, but he didn't give the order to take action. Lu Ming and the others left the Blue Demon King's residence and returned to their residence. I didn't expect that person to be from the Song Yin residence. Lu Ming was also speechless. He came here with the intention of getting to know the ancient Devil Nation's royal family through Luo Xian's recommendation. He didn't expect to offend the Blue Demon King's residence's little prince. It seems like I can only wait for the ancient Devil Nation's king's banquet to find an opportunity when all the Sky Prides compete. Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming, don't think too much. The Blue Demon King's residence isn't the only Sky Prides in the ancient Devil Nation's royal family. I'll introduce you to the others in a few days. Luo Xian comforted Lu Ming. Thank you. Lu Ming looked at Luo Xian and smiled. He was quite touched when Luo Xian stood in front of him unwaveringly. Luo Xian was a straightforward person. Compared to Yu Ning, she was much better. In the next few days, Luo Xian introduced a few members of the royal family to Lu Ming. Although they were talented, they were still lacking compared to the Song Yin. There were a few times when Lu Ming tried to find out more about the ancient demonic coffin. However, the other party did not know much about the ancient demonic coffin. He only knew that it was the treasure of the ancient demonic nation, and only the king could control it. Lu Ming frowned, his heart heavy. The ancient demonic coffin was so important that only the king could control it. Could he really borrow it for a month? Needless to say, the king of the ancient devil nation was an emperor. Chapter 2043. 10 days later, the king's banquet officially began. At the center of the ancient Devil Nation's capital, a majestic palace suddenly appeared in the sky. The palace shone brightly, and it could be seen from far away. The palace had 9 floors, and it looked like a divine palace. There was a jade staircase in each of the 4 directions of the palace, extending from the top of the palace to the bottom. The guest who went to congratulate the king climbed up the jade staircase to the 9th floor of the palace. Lu Ming and the people of the Yura Kingdom went up the jade staircase on the east side. What a majestic palace! Lu Ming was shocked. This 9th-floor palace was too huge. It was 100,000 feet tall, and it pierced through the sky. Even the jade staircase was incomparably huge. A person on it was like an ant. There were people coming from this direction, climbing up the jade staircase to congratulate the king. The ancient Devil Nation was one of the 2 super Devil Nations in the land of infinite demons. Almost half of the Devil Nations came to congratulate the king, so the number of people was naturally shocking. Lu Ming and the others climbed up the jade staircase, and it took them half an hour to reach the 9th floor of the palace. The 9th floor of the palace was open air, and it was incomparably spacious. There were all kinds of sacred herbs and strange flowers everywhere, and their fragrance assailed the nostrils. This area was filled with tables and chairs. The Yura Kingdom was one of the 5 great devil nations. As soon as they arrived, they were led to the top. The location of this area was also very particular. The height was different, and the level was different. The lowest level was where the people of the low-tier devil nations sat. The lower level was where the middle-tier devil nations sat. Above them were where the 5 high-tier devil nations sat. At the top were the experts of the ancient devil nation and the nobles. Brother Luo, Brother Luo. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, there were already some people there. When they saw the head of the Luo family, they greeted him. These people were the kings of the other high-tier devil nations, and they had prominent statuses. Now that the Luo family was in charge of the Yura kingdom, they naturally greeted the head of the Luo family. At the side, the head of the Yu family snorted coldly and led Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and the others to find a seat. Following that, more and more people arrived, and the vast space was almost full. The king has arrived. A voice resounded throughout the entire place, causing everyone to fall silent. The monarch here was none other than the monarch of the ancient devil nation. A group of people flew through the air and landed at the highest point. The person in the lead was a burly old man. He wore a purple gold robe and had a smile on his face. Although he did not reveal any aura, he had a supreme dignity. Greetings to the ancient great emperor. Everyone bowed respectfully. Every ruler of the ancient devil kingdom was known as the ancient great emperor. Everyone, please have a seat. The ancient great emperor waved his hand and everyone took their seats. Lu Ming glanced around and discovered that there were many people beside the ancient great emperor. Some were old and some were young. Many of their auras were powerful and incomparably terrifying. There was no doubt that there were great emperors among them. The Eternal Devil Nation definitely had more than one great emperor. Song Yin. Lu Ming saw Song Yin in the crowd behind the ancient great emperor. At this moment, Song Yin also looked at the Yura kingdom. When he saw Lu Ming, a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. Yin, the person you're talking about is that kid? Beside the ancient great emperor, a skinny old man with snow-white hair asked Song Yin through telepathy. This old man was Song Yin's grandfather, the Blue Demon King. Grandfather, that's him. Song Yin nodded. All right, I understand. Demon King Song nodded and did not continue speaking. His face was calm, and no one could guess what he was thinking. The Sky Domain Devil Nation congratulates the ancient great emperor on overcoming the great calamity and achieving immortality. At this moment, the king of the Sky Domain Devil Nation stood up and congratulated the ancient great emperor. He also presented a congratulatory gift. The Yura Kingdom congratulates the ancient great emperor on overcoming the great calamity and achieving immortality in the future. The head of the Luo family also presented a congratulatory gift. Following that, the kings of the various devil nations came forward to congratulate the ancient great emperor and presented their gifts. Starting from the 5 high-class devil nations, it was the low-class devil nation's turn. Thank you for coming today. Please take a seat. The ancient great emperor's voice was heard. Following that, maids served various delicacies and wine. Then, a peerlessly enchanting female demon came forward to perform the heavenly demon dance. The atmosphere became lively. Great Emperor, there are so many geniuses in the world today. Why don't we let the younger generation compete with each other to liven up the atmosphere? Someone suggested. Every time the ancient great emperor overcame a great calamity, this would happen. Some people were looking forward to it. Haha, I also want to see how outstanding the geniuses of this generation are. I heard that there is more than one son of heaven in this generation, and there are even more king physiques. The ancient great emperor said with a smile. That's right. This generation is indeed filled with geniuses, more so than any previous generation. The Blue Demon King said. Oh, in that case, I will also change the rewards this time. Those in the top 3 can make a request of me. If it is something that I can do, I will try my best to satisfy it. Those in the top 10 can also receive a reward. The ancient great emperor's voice spread in all directions. Many people's eyes lit up. Those in the top 3 could make a request of the great emperor. This was too tempting. Moreover, the rewards for those in the top 10 were definitely not trivial. The rewards this time were also beyond the past. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Those in the top 3 could make a request of the ancient great emperor. If he was in the top 3, wouldn't he be able to borrow the eternal demonic coffin from the ancient great emperor? Since the great emperor said it himself, he shouldn't reject it. Moreover, it was only for a month. I must be in the top 3. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. Although he didn't know how strong the Son of Heaven was, Lu Ming believed that as long as he used his full strength, it shouldn't be a problem for him to be in the top 3. All right, then I will let the Blue Demon King host this time. The ancient great emperor smiled. He didn't need to host this matter personally. He could leave it to others. Thank you, great emperor. The Blue Demon King stood up and stepped into the air outside the palace. With a wave of his hand, a platform floated out. Then, the platform rapidly expanded into a 100-mile wide battle platform. The height of the battle platform was slightly lower than the palace. Sitting on it, one could clearly see the situation on the battle platform. Young people who want to participate can sign up and leave their names. The Blue Demon King said, and then called a few people to register their names. Whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, young people flew up and signed up. There were too many people. In an instant, hundreds of people went up. Who do you think will be in the top 3 this time? Is there a need to ask? The 2 Sons of Heaven will definitely be in the top 3. That's right. The 2 Sons of Heaven will definitely be in the top 3. The key is who will get the other slot. Song Yin and Lu Su are both likely to get it. Chapter 2044. The registration process was quick. All they had to do was to register their names. Hence, it did not take long. Soon, Lu Ming, Luo Xin, and the rest also went to register. Stop right there. Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. A figure stood in front of Lu Ming. Song Yin. Lu Ming frowned. What is Song Yin trying to do? Lu Ming, you are not qualified to take part in the competition. Step down. Song Yin looked down at Lu Ming from above. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. Many people looked over curiously, including the older generation cultivators in their seats. Song Yin, what do you mean? How is Lu Ming not qualified to take part in the competition? If he is not qualified, then you are not qualified either. Don't forget that you were defeated by Lu Ming a few days ago. Luo Xin stepped forward and stared at Song Yin. What? Song Yin was defeated? Is that true? Is that the young man? It looks mediocre. Many people were shocked. They looked at Lu Ming in bewilderment. In the ancient Devil Nation and the other Devil Nations under its rule, Song Yin was the most outstanding genius, except for the Son of Heaven. Almost no one could defeat him. How could this person defeat Song Yin? What is his background? After all, the geniuses invited by Song Yin were only a small part of the people present. Many people did not know about the battle between Lu Ming and Song Yin. Those geniuses present were afraid of offending Song Yin. When they returned, they did not spread the news. Therefore, not many people knew that Lu Ming had defeated Song Yin. Now that Luo Xin said it, everyone was shocked. Many people even suspected that Luo Xin was telling the truth. Even many of the older generation looked at Lu Ming curiously. Being able to defeat Song Yin was no small matter. Such a genius would have great achievements in the future. Naturally, he was worth paying attention to. Song Yin's face was extremely dark. Luo Xin was not giving him any face at all. He had actually revealed the matter of his defeat in front of everyone. During this time, I sent people to investigate this person, but they didn't find any clues. They couldn't find out his origin at all. This person's origin is unknown, so he is not qualified to participate in the competition. Song Yin shouted. The purpose of this competition is to congratulate the great emperor. As for the background of the participants, what does it matter? Luo Xin argued strongly. His origin is unknown. Who knows what he is plotting? Song Yin sneered. Great emperor, what should we do? Up above, the Blue Demon King asked the ancient great emperor for instructions. I have already handed this matter over to you. You have full authority to handle it. The ancient great emperor waved his hand. He had no interest in the conflict between the younger generation. From his height, he only had the mentality of watching a good show. Only the Son of Heaven would be worthy of his attention. Yes, great emperor. The Blue Demon King bowed and then moved, appearing above Lu Ming and the others. What's going on? The Blue Demon King said in a dignified manner. It's like this. Luo Xin took the initiative to explain the situation. The great emperor has just passed a great tribulation. This is a grand event that only happens once every 300,000 years. There cannot be any mistakes. You withdraw. The Blue Demon King looked at Lu Ming and waved his hand. Lu Ming frowned. Luo Xin's face turned ugly. The Blue Demon King was not allowing Lu Ming to participate in the competition. A cold smile appeared on Song Yan's face. Not far away, Yu Ning, Ji Tian, and the others also revealed gloating smiles. Your Highness, I did defeat Song Yan, but you can't shield him because of this, Lu Ming said. His voice was very loud and spread in all directions. His meaning was clear. The Blue Demon King was deliberately making things difficult for him because of Song Yan. Impudent! What kind of attitude is this? How dare you doubt this king? The Blue Demon King shouted. A terrifying aura spread out from his body. He stared at Lu Ming and said, Your origin is unknown. I am already merciful for not taking you down on the spot. How dare you speak so much? If you don't withdraw, don't blame this king for being impolite. The scene was silent. No one said anything. The Luo family head felt that the Blue Demon King had gone too far. He, the Blue Demon King, had great power in the ancient devil nation. It was not worthwhile for him to offend the Blue Demon King because of this matter. It was just that he could not participate in the competition. In his opinion, it was a small matter. However, this was a big matter for Lu Ming. It was related to the ancient devil coffin, but it was clear that the Blue Demon King would not give him this opportunity. The ancient great emperor looked on indifferently. Although he also felt that the Blue Demon King had gone too far, since he had let the Blue Demon King host, he would not say anything. Why aren't you withdrawing? The Azure Demon King bellowed again. His terrifying aura was like a tidal wave, pressing on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body retreated continuously. He was under immense pressure. Lu Ming clenched his fists. He was extremely unwilling. But in the end, Lu Ming retreated. The Blue Demon King's strength was shocking. Even if he wasn't a great emperor, he was still a peak true emperor. It was impossible to fight him head-on. He had to think of another way. Song Yan's lips curled into a cold smile. The reason why he did not let Lu Ming participate was to take revenge on Lu Ming. The second reason was that Lu Ming's strength was too shocking. If Lu Ming participated, he would have no hope of getting into the top 3. The registration continued. It took half a day for the registration to end. After the registration, the competition began. It was very intense. However, all of this had nothing to do with Lu Ming. He sat in his seat, drinking while thinking about his next step. How could he borrow the ancient devil coffin for a month? For martial experts, even those who had reached the sage realm, it was normal for them to sit in the coffin for a few months. Therefore, the competition continued. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. After a few days of competition, most of the people were eliminated. Only a few dozen people were left. These dozens of people were all extremely talented, and many of them even had king bodies. The land of myriad demons is indeed a warlike place. There is endless killing. The overall level of the prodigies is stronger than that of Yuan Mountain. Towards the end, Lu Ming also perked up and observed. He found that the number of geniuses in the land of myriad demons was about the same as that of Yuan Mountain, but the quality was higher. For example, the average cultivation of the geniuses in the land of myriad demons was higher than that of Yuan Mountain. Many of them had reached the absolute saint realm. There were even some who had reached the peak of the absolute saint realm. For example, Luo Xin had a monarch body at the peak of the absolute saint realm. However, she did not have the slightest advantage among these geniuses. There were at least 20 or 30 people who were not weaker than her. This was not all the geniuses in the land of myriad demons. It was only half of them. There were so many powerful geniuses who had reached the peak of the absolute saint realm. It was shocking. However, in the past few years, after the cultivation in the Origin Mountain Sacred Courtyard, the competition, and the battle with the evil god tribe, many people's cultivation base had increased. Chapter 2045. The competition continued. Among them, 2 young men caught Lu Ming's attention. Because these 2 people were exceptionally powerful. They were 2 Elysian children. Children of the void. Children of death. Lu Ming whispered. One of the 2 Elysian children controlled the law of nothingness. which was also one of the 10 strongest laws. It was extremely terrifying and could turn everything into nothingness. The other person actually controlled the law of death, just like Deathblade. Today was indeed a golden era. In the past, it was already very impressive for an Elysian child to appear. But now, Elysian children were appearing frequently. Even the same law had different people who had successfully cultivated it. This was only the land of Yuan Mountain and the land of infinite demons. One had to know that the Yuan realm had 10 lands. It was conceivable that there would be more than one Elysian child. It was conceivable that if Deathblade encountered this person, a great battle would probably break out. In addition to these two people, Song Yan's strength was indeed very strong. He was invincible and was a popular candidate for the top 3. After a few days of fierce battles, all the rankings were out. Luo Xian and Yu Ning were both ranked 22nd. They didn't even squeeze into the top 20. As for Ji Tian, he had cultivated the law of light and was indeed powerful. He had surged all the way to the top 10 and was ranked 6th. After all, there were very few people who could cultivate the law of light in the monarch body. And Song Yan, after a series of battles, finally defeated his competitors and obtained 3rd place. The 1st and 2nd place were naturally the 2 Elysian children. The 2 Elysian children's cultivation had reached the great circle of the absolute saint realm and were very close to the quasi-emperor realm. Moreover, they had cultivated the law of light. Their combat strength was too strong. The most exciting battle was the battle between the 2 Elysian children, which pushed the atmosphere to the peak. The law of nothingness and the law of death collided. These 2 laws were extremely overbearing. The 2's cultivation was also similar. The battle took 1,000 moves to determine the winner. In the end, the child of death narrowly won because of his mastery of the law of light. He was very close to the quasi-emperor realm. Amazing, amazing. Is this the battle strength of the Elysian children? It's really terrifying. Luo Xian blinked her big eyes in amazement. The Elysian child is indeed powerful. Below the martial emperor realm, ordinary martial artists are no match for the Elysian child. No matter how strong they are, it's useless. Yuning also sighed and glanced at Lu Ming intentionally or unintentionally. This meant that if one wasn't an Elysian child, no matter how strong one was, they wouldn't be a match for an Elysian child. Lu Ming smiled faintly and sighed inwardly. If he made a move, he would definitely be able to enter the top 3. Although the 2 Elysian children were strong, he was not afraid. What a pity. Lu Ming sighed, picked up a cup of wine, and drank it in one gulp. Yuning thought that Lu Ming had realized the difference between him and the Elysian child, which was why he was acting like this. She sneered. Those ranked in the top 3 can make a request to me. Come forward. At this moment, the ancient great emperor's voice sounded. The 2 Elysian children and Song Yan stepped forward. At this moment, Song Yan was extremely excited. If he made a request to the great emperor, he had to make sure that this request was of the greatest value to him, the most beneficial value to him. Should I ask for an ancient scripture or take the opportunity to become the great emperor's disciple? Song Yan's mind spun rapidly, and his body trembled with excitement. Ha ha ha, since it's so lively today, I'll join in the fun. At this moment, a loud laugh resounded through the sky. Rumble, 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 rumble. The sky rumbled as if a huge monster was about to break through the void. Many experts' faces darkened as they looked at the void in the distance. Rip. In the next moment, the void cracked open, and an incomparably huge battleship sailed out of the dark void. The battleship was 10,000 meters long, and it was pitch black. It gave off a terrifying pressure. That's the Undying Demon Kingdom's undying battleship, someone exclaimed. Many people were shocked. The Undying Demon Kingdom was another super demon kingdom that was as famous as the ancient demon kingdom. 2 tigers could not live on one mountain. The 2 super demon kingdoms were naturally hostile, and there would often be conflicts and wars. The undying battleship of the Undying Demon Kingdom had broken through the void and arrived. A group of people stood on the deck of the battleship. The person in the lead was a middle-aged burly man. He was wearing a long robe and had a domineering aura. Undying, what are you doing here? The ancient great emperor looked at the burly man and said coldly. Many people were shocked. In the Undying Demon Kingdom, only one person dared to use this title, and that was the ruler of the Undying Demon Kingdom, the Undying Emperor. Just like the ancient Great Emperor, every ruler of the Undying Demon Kingdom used the title of Undying Emperor. Haha, ancient immortal, you've finally survived the calamity. Of course I'm here to congratulate you. Why? Don't you welcome me? The Undying Emperor laughed. You're a guest. Come and sit down. The ancient Great Emperor said, and then ordered people to prepare seats. Let's go. The Undying Emperor said. Many people followed him and jumped down from the battleship. Those who followed the Undying Emperor were experts of the older generation, and there were also experts of the younger generation. The Undying Emperor glanced around, and his gaze fell on the young Sky Prides on the battle stage. At this moment, the top 30 Sky Prides were still standing on the battle stage. The top 3 could make a request to the ancient Great Emperor. The top 10 would be rewarded handsomely, and the top 30 would also be rewarded. That was why they were waiting there. The ancient Demon Kingdom is indeed full of geniuses. The Sky Prides of my Undying Demon Kingdom are also tempted. They want to spar with the Sky Prides of the ancient Demon Kingdom. Ancient Immortal, what do you think? The Undying Emperor laughed. They're here. Many people felt their hearts trembling. Indeed, the people from the Undying Devil Empire didn't come here with good intentions. They wouldn't be here just to congratulate the ancient emperor. All right, I have the same idea. Let the 2 Sky Prides spar. It's good for them too. The ancient Great Emperor said. He could not refuse. Otherwise, people would think that the ancient Demon Kingdom was afraid of the Undying Demon Kingdom. All right, huh? The Undying Emperor laughed. He then looked at the young men behind him and said, have fun with the Sky Prides of the ancient Demon Kingdom. Remember, don't embarrass me. Yes, Great Emperor. The Sky Prides cupped their fists. I'll go first. Then, a young man from the Undying Demon Kingdom leaped onto the battle stage. He looked arrogant as he scanned the Sky Prides of the ancient Demon Kingdom and said, my name is Yuan Tua. I have the king body. I've just reached the great circle of the Saint Realm. Who wants to spar with me? The Sky Prides of the ancient Demon Kingdom fell silent. Many of them looked around, but no one stepped forward. The Undying Demon Kingdom did not have good intentions. Their Sky Prides would not be weak. They did not know how strong their opponent was, so they did not dare to act rashly. If they lost, it would be embarrassing. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.